today with Gigi Schweikert. Gigi, can you tell us, I know you're an expert in early childhood education, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I have had the benefit of working in early childhood now for 20 years. The best experience I've had is the last 9 years, which is with my own children. Prior to that, I set up the Johnson & Johnson system of family centers, had the opportunity to work at the United Nations Child Care Center, and most recently I'm doing parent workshops and have 4 books on parenting coming out soon, so I'm excited about that.
Well, that sounds pretty busy for a mom of 4 children.
It is. Full-time mom and a part-time consultant.
That's wonderful. I know there's been a lot of studies recently about the brain research and how much children can learn and how important chatty moms are. Can you tell us a little bit about language development and how moms and dads can actually do more language development with their children at home?
I think one of the things that most parents think about in language development is that language, regardless of whether it's directed to the child or is just in the background, is beneficial to children. For example, television or music that's playing in the background can somehow stimulate the brain. That's contrary. What stimulates the brain most often is the actual conversations that parents have with children. So that's really talking to children, really connecting with infants, asking 3-year-olds about their day, finding springboards for conversation, thinking about questions that require more than a yes or no answer, talking about sequence, one-to-one correspondence, getting involved in interest with children. Some children are often a little reluctant to have conversation, even those who have a good command of the English language. The best way to continue conversations with children, even when they become teenagers, is to engage in things. Conversation comes more naturally when you're doing something. So if you're cooking with your children or you're picking up sticks in the yard or you're going pumpkin picking or whatever, you're more likely to have conversations when you're physically connected.
And I think it's a good point about not asking yes or no questions with children, too. I know we talk about asking open-ended questions. What kind of questions might a parent ask a child to get them to answer more than yes or no to a question?
Well, one of the things I hear a lot is people will say, so how was your day at school? Or what did you do at school today? Nothing. So breaking it down into what was your favorite part of school? Or what did you like least? Was there anything that was really hard? Is there anything that you'd want to write in a story if you were writing a book? If you were the teacher, what would you have done differently today? So anything that can really spur their imagination. Depends upon the child. If there's a child who's really into physical development and moving around, talk to him about what happens on the playground. So start with what they're interested in, and then you can build on greater conversation.
I think that's really good advice. I know today we are talking about infants, and there's a lot of research about SIDS and back to sleep. Can you tell us a little bit about, why that's important, some of the latest research on making sure you put your baby on their back when they go to sleep?
Well, SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome, and it's been shown that by children sleeping on their backs, they're not quite sure why. There are lots of reasons they think, whether it's breathing obstruction or whether going into a corner, etc., in the crib, that children are less likely to have some sort of traumatic experience. So that's why physicians and the American Academy of Pediatrics suggest that children sleep on their backs. This means for all sleeping, naps and sleeping at night. One caution about that, and one new campaign they have, is back to sleep, front to play. So making sure that as much time as infants spend on their back, which is quite a bit when they're sleeping, because infants do sleep a lot, is making sure that when they're down on the floor, that they are on their stomachs. We have a tendency nowadays, because we have so many things like swings and extra saucers, bouncy seats and car seats, to keep children trapped, more or less, and some of those reasons are very good for safety reasons, especially in the car. But as much as you can in a safe environment, having children on the floor, on their stomachs, not on a bed, because they can roll more quickly than you think, is really the best way to help them physically develop and to see the world.
Right. So as long as you're supervising them, it really helps them to develop their upper body strength, to give them that tummy time as long as you're there.
Absolutely.